Pro Football Focus stats that matter. We do it every week on a Wednesday. We'll look back at the South Carolina win. What are the nitty-gritty, the stats that you need to know about from that win? All that and more. It's your Wednesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Vols. It is your team every single day. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch on YouTube, subscribing to that channel. And shout out every dayers, every damn dayers. Couldn't do this show without you. Got a fun one coming up today. Pro Football Focus stats that matter. We'll do offense here in a couple seconds, defense in segment 2, and then Josh Ward, 99.1 The Sports Animal, 12 to 3 Eastern Time, weekdays on the Sports Animal. He's going to join us in segment number 3. Stats that matter. What do you need to know? Well, let's start with the offensive side of the football. Snap counts, overall grades, stuff like that. Gerald Mincey, Javonte Spraggins, Ollie Lane, John Campbell, all played, it looks like, the entire game at 74 snaps. Cooper Mays played 70 snaps. I believe Dane Davis came in and snapped for the final series of the game, that 4-play drive, so that was 4 snaps. So the entire offensive line, the starters, remember Andre Carrick and J.J. Crawford was available, but only in an emergency situation, and Andre Carrick was in street clothes. So the offensive line, this was the 5 for pretty much the entire game. You had Ramel Keaton that played 73 snaps. Joe Milton, of course, played 74 snaps. He played every offensive snap. Squirrel White played 69 snaps. Jacob Warren, 52 snaps. McAllen Castles, 28 snaps. Brew McCoy, 25 snaps before injury. Dylan Sampson, let's see here. Where's Jalen Wright? Jalen Wright, 30 snaps. Dylan Sampson, 24 snaps. Jabari Small, 20 snaps. Chaz Nimrod, 19 snaps. And Caleb Webb, 30 snaps. That is a look at the offensive side of the football in terms of snap count. Now let's look at overall grades. Remember, Pro Football Focus, it is something. It is not everything. I think that's important to remember. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see the Pro Football Focus grading scale at the bottom. But for those listening, I'll tell you, 90 to 99, elite. 80 to 89, very good. 70 to 79 is an above average starter. 60 to 69 is an average starter. 50 to 59 is below average starter, and less than 50 is considered a backup level player. So I always like to make the joke at F in grade school, 60-something, well, that's considered an average starter according to Pro Football Focus. Jacob Warren led the way with a 77.6 grade. Javonte Spraggins, 73.9 grade. Dylan Sampson, 72.2 grade. Cooper Mays in his first game playing 69 snaps and doing a heck of a, or 70 snaps and doing a heck of a job. Gosh, what a gritty effort from Cooper Mays. 71.8%. Jalen Wright, 71.3%. Gerald Mincey, 70.2%. Those are some of the top grades. John Campbell Jr., 63.8. I'm trying to look at some starters. Joe Milton, not the best grade, 53.7. Jabari Small actually had the worst grade of the offense guys who played at 49.9. What are some things that matter? Well, let's go ahead and look at the passing tree. Let's look at the stuff in terms of Joe Milton. I don't remember him throwing this many passes 20 yards down the field. I remember one. But according to Pro Football Focus, Joe Milton threw 3 passes 20-plus yards down the field, and one was intercepted. I don't remember both. I thought those 2 were intermediates. Both were intercepted 20 yards down the field. The one to Jacob Warren on the far side or on the near sideline, I guess now that I think about it, that was probably 20 yards down the field. It didn't feel like the one across the middle of the field where the safety just jumped up and got it whenever Milton thought it was cover 2, didn't even see the safety there, cover 3, dropping in the middle of the field. I guess that was 20 yards down the field too. I felt like that was more intermediate. But anyway, Milton was 1 for 3 with a touchdown he was 1 for 3 with 2 interceptions, but did have a 50-yard completion to Squirrel White down the far sideline. So again, Tennessee not really taking shots down the field, whereas I thought that it would, considering how bad South Carolina's secondary was entering the game. 10 to 20 yards. Joe Milton was 1 for 3. Again, wasn't really tested much. That 1 touchdown to Jacob Warren. Good to see. Let's see here. 6 yards. So 1 for 3, 6 yards, and a touchdown. 0 to 10 yards. So within 10 yards, Joe Milton was 9, 11 for 12, 14. He was 11 for 14 for, putting it well over 100 yards and a really, really nice, good completion percentage. And then behind the line of scrimmage, Joe Milton was 7, 8 for 11. I do this math on the run here. He was 8 for 11 behind the line of scrimmage for 63, 4, 67, for about 74 yards. So not bad there. 74 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Joe Milton was kept clean on 79.4% of dropbacks. Okay. And when he was kept clean, he had a offensive grade of 60.4, which is very low end, but that's considered an average starter. When he was under pressure, which was only 20.6% of the dropbacks, Joe Milton's grade went to 40.6. So I think it's no secret that Joe Milton is not very good on the run. It was kind of the joke going into last week that Spencer Rattler and Joe Milton were kind of opposite. Spencer Rattler played some of his best football on the run, throwing touchdowns, and Joe Milton, I think, has still not thrown a touchdown on the run, if you will. Joe Milton was not blitzed, so South Carolina did not blitz on 64.7% of the snaps. They did blitz 35.3% of the snaps, and it's actually interesting, Joe Milton was better when blitzed. He had a grade of 59.3 when South Carolina blitzed and a grade of 49.9 when South Carolina did not blitz. Again, take it kind of for what it's worth. Joe Milton was 66.3 on play action, and of course that's a lot of RPO, sideways stuff. No play action, 45.7. This is his grade. This is completion percentage. Again, this is his Pro Football Focus grade. Screen game, 67.6%. And then no screen game, 50.2%. So that's a look at Joe Milton. Let's look at the blocking. This is what I like about Pro Football Focus. Who did the best and who excelled in terms of blocking on the offensive line? This is pass blocking grades. John Campbell Jr., the best pass blocker in this football game, in 36 reps, he had a grade of 82.0. So good, solid stuff from your left tackle. Javonte Spraggins played better, much better. 79.4% was his grade on 36 reps. A drawback. McAllen Castles had a good pass blocking grade, 15 reps, 77.2. Dylan Sampson, 15 reps, 77.1. Jacob Warren, 21 reps, 75%. That's good to see. Gerald Mincey, 36 reps, 72.0. Cooper Mays, 36 reps, 71.4. Ollie Lane, 36 reps, 65.7. And Jalen Wright, 12 reps in pass blocking, 60.0. So really top to bottom, Jabari Small's in there as well, 9 reps, 61.7. Top to bottom, tight ends, running backs, and offensive line, Tennessee did a really nice job protecting in terms of pass sets, pass pros. So job well done there. Let's look at run blocking, shall we? Run blocking. Javonte Spraggins, 73.0, his percent. Good to see. Cooper Mays, 68.7%. That's really solid. Gerald Mincey, 67.0%. Gerald Mincey had himself a game. McAllen Castles, 13 reps, 65%. Let's see here. Jacob Warren, 31 reps, 61%. And then you'll end here with two of your offensive linemen who didn't do too hot. John Campbell, 38 run blocking reps, 56.2%. And then Ollie Lane, 38 run blocking reps, 48%. So much better pass pro was this football team, this offensive line really, than run blocking. But overall, still some really good stuff. Again, this was I thought this was a clean game by the offensive line, and the Pro Football Focus grades and reports kind of reflect that. For sure. So that's a look at the stats that matter. Pro Football Focus on the offensive end. What about defense? Snap counts, rushing grades, coverage grades, all that and more. That is coming up next right here on Locked On Vols. I do want to tell you about our friends over at Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make stretch khaki shorts that are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg that truly give you that sculpted look, gentlemen. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing that Lululemon does, but the fit is way better. Why? Well, Bird Dogs fixed this issue where it was restricting cotton, stiff, all that type of stuff for normal shorts. They fixed this issue by inventing a cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but it stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Bird Dogs uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. The reason I love Bird Dogs, versatility. Whether I'm going to a meeting, whether I'm going to lunch, whether I'm going to church, whether I'm going on a date with my wife, whatever the case may be, whether I'm just lounging around. Some guys even use them, wear them to go work out. Bird Dogs is good for any occasion. The slacks, the shorts, you have some versatility as well. I encourage you to go to birddogs.com/LockedOnCollege. Enter that promo code LockedOnCollege at checkout for free Bird Dog water bottle with your order. That is birddogs.com/LockedOnVols for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you that. We got Josh Ward coming up here in just a minute here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane. We'll dive back into the Pro Football Focus grades here in just 1 second. First, let's do snap counts looking at the defensive side of the football. Wesley Walker, who played a heck of a football game, 64 snaps leading the defense. Mary McDonald, 61 snaps. Jalen McCullough, 61 snaps. So Walker played every defensive snap. Your star player and your other safety, McDonald and McCullough, they played all but 3 snaps. Gabe Judy-Lawley started at cornerback opposite of Kamal Hadden, even though Danico Slaughter was available and played some, kind of working his way back from injury. Gabe Judy-Lawley played 58 snaps. Kamal Hadden, who had the pick 6, played 57 snaps. Aaron Beasley, who I'll get to it in segment 3, guys, catching a lot of flack from you guys, and deservingly so, completely overlooked him in my top 5. How do you have a top 5 and not mention Aaron Beasley? I'm the idiot, I know. Aaron Beasley, 53 snaps the other day. James Pierce, 37 snaps. Tyler Barron, 37 snaps. Elijah Herring, 36 snaps. Roman Harrison, 34 snaps. Omar Norman Lott, Amari Thomas, 26 and 27 snaps respectively. Dominic Bailey, 25 snaps. Bryson Eason, 23 snaps. Kerrod Garland, 18 snaps. Love these defensive linemen not getting a whole lot of run in terms of getting tired. Rodney Garner does a great job of keeping the snap count low to keep all those guys fresh. Jeremiah Thielander, Arian Carter on the football field for big-time plays. They each played 12 snaps. Elijah Simmons, the goal was 10 snaps in his return. He got 12 snaps. Tyree West, 11 snaps. Brandon Turnage, 7 snaps. Jordan Thomas, 6 snaps. Joshua Joseph, 6 snaps. He needs to get a little bit more run. I am all for James Pierce. And Roman Harrison is quote-unquote your starter. I recognize he has a role. Joshua Joseph needs to get a little bit more run. Danico Slaughter, only 6 snaps in his return, but he did make his return, which was important. And then Andre Turrentine, 3 snaps. Pro Football Focus, again, a little refresher course. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see the grading scale at the bottom. But for those listening, elite, 90 to 99. Very good, 80 to 89. Above average starter, 70 to 79. Your average starter, 60 to 69. Below average starter, 50 to 59. And less than 50 is considered a backup level player. Again, Pro Football Focus grades, they're something, they're not everything, but I'll give you a quick overview of who had a really good day. Tyler Barron, 90 grade. That is considered elite. He is playing at an elite level right now in his contract year. That's really, really good to see. So a 90.7% grade for Tyler Barron, easily leading the defense. Wesley Walker's at number 2. And I knew he had a good game in real time. I knew he had a good game on the rewatch, and I'm so glad that the Pro Football Focus grade reflected that. 82.2, which is considered very, very good. Arian Carter in 12 snaps, 81.1. That's good to see. Bryson Eason, 81. James Pierce had a 79% grade. Omar Norman Lott, 79%. Jeremiah Thielander, 75. Jalen McCullough, 74. That's good to see. Kamal Hadden, 73. That's good to see. Let's see here. Let's go to some starters. Gabe Judy-Lawley, a 70% grade. Amari Thomas, 70%. Elijah Herring, 69%. That's a good grade for him. Tamari McDonald, 68%. And so Aaron Beasley actually had the worst grade of starters, 57.5% overall in this one for Aaron Beasley. Let's go coverage. Coverage is the one that we all want to know about. How many times were each player targeted? How many receptions did they give up? And so on and so forth. Let's look at this one right here. Wesley Walker was targeted twice, gave up 2 receptions for 1 yard. And again, let's see here. There was, Yeah, Spencer Rattler never threw a touchdown. There was a couple of rushing touchdowns, a couple of field goals. So none of these guys give up a touchdown. So Wesley Walker targeted twice, gave up 2 receptions for a 1 yard. Jalen McCullough targeted 3 times, gave up 1 reception for 7 yards. Elijah Herring targeted 3 times, gave up 2 receptions for 9 yards, off to a good start. Kamal Hadden targeted 4 times, gave up 2 receptions for 23 yards. One of those was a first down, but of course, he had an interception that turned into a touchdown. That was a pick 6. Arian Carter targeted twice, gave up 2 receptions for -2 yards. Gabe Judy-Lawley targeted 7 times, gave up 6 receptions, 73 yards. So I'm trying to think of which chunk plays. Maybe Gabe Judy-Lawley was on the fake punt, potentially. No, I think that was Deshaun Rucker. I'm trying to think if there was ever a chunk play. 48 of those yards came on the yards after contact, or yards after catch, I guess. Anyway, his grade was still only 69.7, so I'm trying to go back and remember, guys. I can't really think there was. Okay, he might have been out there for the screenplay because they had a 44-yarder on that first series. He might have been the cornerback on that screenplay, but still, he's not the primary defender in that regard. Anyway, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 73 yards against Gabe Judy-Lawley. Tamari McDonald targeted 5 times, gave up 4 receptions for 36 yards. Brandon Turnage was never targeted. Caleb Perry targeted once, gave up 1 reception, 6 yards. Jordan Thomas never targeted. Danico Slaughter never targeted. Roman Harrison never targeted. Jeremiah Thielander targeted once, gave up 1 reception, 6 yards. Aaron Beasley targeted 4 times, gave up 3 receptions for 10 yards. Turrentine, Gibson, Pierce, D. Williams never targeted. And Deshaun Rucker, okay, this is the fake punt. 1 target, 1 reception, 32 yards. Okay, so that's kind of what all that looks like there. I do want to pull up a stat. I'm trying to find it here on the fly. I did not have it readily available, and I do apologize. I'm searching for it right now. This is really, really bad. Really, really bad podcasting because you're listening to me tap dance right now. Found it. Didn't have to tap dance too long. And a lot of people have opinions, and I'm not going to get into it. I talked a little bit about with Josh Ward in segment 3, but if you guys have more questions, maybe I can address it tomorrow. But Kamal Hadden, we all know some fans booed him during the starting lineups and all that, and he's taken to Twitter and said, I won't forget that and all that type of stuff. But anyway, maybe he's using it as motivation. You have a tweet from assistant basketball coach Rod Clark that's highlighting what Pro Football Focus put out so far this year on Kamal Hadden. This came, I want to say Sunday or Monday. This is from Pro Football Focus. Kamal Hadden is having himself a year, according to Pro Football Focus. Coverage grade is 86. That's 10th nationally. He's been targeted 26 times. He's given up 10 receptions. Completion percentage when targeted is 38.5%. He's allowed 26 yards, which, he allowed 23 yards according to Pro Football Focus in the South Carolina game, so I'm not sure if that's accurate. Yards per catch, 6.4. He's got 5 PBUs, and he does have 2 interceptions. So, again, the yards given up, I'm not sure that that's accurate, but all these other stats are accurate because, again, he gave up 23 yards according to Pro Football Focus just in this game alone. But anyway, Kamal Hadden, in terms of Pro Football Focus, indeed is having a pretty solid year. But as I was talking to somebody in the DMs, I think where Kamal kind of gets rubbed the wrong way in terms of the way fans see him is the lack of effort, the missed tackle at Florida. No one's going to forget the South Carolina game. It just kind of is what it is. But I really, really did enjoy. I like players playing hard, and I like players getting rewarded for doing some good things. And I think Kamal Hadden's done some good things this year, and I love seeing him get rewarded for that pick 6. That was good to see. So that was the coverage grades. Let's look at the pass rush grade, shall we? Obviously, Tyler Barron and James Pierce are going to be at the top. 83.8% for Tyler Barron and 29 reps. 76.7% for James Pierce. Again, the official stats, I'm not sure what the official stats we're looking at because according to Pro Football Focus, okay, you had 3 sacks for James Pierce in this football game. Official stats only gave him 2. Quarterback hurries, only 1. How do you have 2 sacks but only 1 quarterback hurry? Not sure. According to Pro Football Focus, James Pierce had 9 quarterback hurries. Again, that is a stat that's hard to keep track of. it's the values in terms of the beholder, who's keeping the stats. I recognize that. I use a stat, for some football games when I first got started in this industry. I get it, but I would give everybody a pressure. I would give everybody a pass defense and stuff. I would give everybody an assisted tackle. Sometimes people aren't like that. But James Pierce, 9 quarterback hurries, 3 sacks. That was great to see. 6 hurries for Tyler Barron. Let's see here. I'm not going to give the grades for a lot of people. 3 hurries for Joshua Josephs, 2 hurries for Harrison. Of course, Joseph had a sack. Dominic Bailey had a sack and 3 quarterback hurries. Omar Norman Lott had a sack, 3 quarterback hurries. Karad Garland had a sack and a quarterback hurry. So Tennessee did a really, really good job in this regard. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. There's something else that I was going to go ahead and look at. Oh, yeah. Missed tackles. Tennessee missed 7 tackles in the opener against Virginia, and since then it's been 10-plus missed tackles every game. And unfortunately, this streak continues against South Carolina, but it was 11 missed tackles. But the silver lining here is none from the secondary, meaning if you're missing a tackle, it's at or behind the line of scrimmage, at or around the line of scrimmage. James Pierce had a missed tackle. Jalen McCullough had... Okay, so they've changed this since Sunday, so there is a couple of members of the secondary that had missed tackles. But the majority of those at or around the line of scrimmage. Jalen McCullough missed 2 tackles. Joshua Josephs missed a tackle. Roman Harrison missed a tackle. Gabe Jeudy-Lally missed a tackle. Elijah Herring missed 2 tackles. Tamarian McDonald missed a tackle. Elijah Simmons missed a tackle. Aaron Beasley missed a tackle. So the majority of these missed tackles were by defensive linemen or linebackers, members of the front 7. So that was good to see. Anyway, we do it every single week right here on Locked On Vols. It is pro football focused stats that matter. Hope you guys enjoyed that. When we come back, Josh Ward, little Ward Wednesday to end your Wednesday right here on the show. This is Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for being here. Want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 in bonus bets win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on all of that action. This app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, which I would truly recommend for beginners because it's so much fun. The totals, that over, those unders, and a whole lot more. Guys, I put some coin in my pocket every single weekend over at FanDuel by betting on, by looking at some of the NFL spreads and storylines there, and you can as well. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. It's at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season in style. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Ward Wednesday, every single Wednesday here on Locked On Vols. Josh, right off the top, what's worse, Tennessee not being ready for a fake punt against Shane Beamer, or me leaving Aaron Beasley off the top 5 players for Tennessee football right now? Which one's worse?
Beasley, for sure. Mistakes happen on special teams. There's a lot that's going on, sudden change. Aaron Beasley's been a staple for a little while, and if memory serves, you played linebacker. You guys are supposed to look out for one another. So, shame.
Once upon a time, many moons ago, yeah, I did that top 5 because it was a mailbag question, and I wrote it out on my notepad. I put a little bit of thought into it. It's not like I just skimmed over it, and I got like bombarded with messages this morning. Aaron Beasley ? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's bad. That's real bad.
Well, he changed numbers. He now number 6. I don't know if that affected your ranking.
We'll go with that.
Sure.
We'll get to special teams here in a moment, but right now, putting you on the spot. Let's see if you forget anybody. Who would be Tennessee's top 5 players through 5 games, offense and defense?
Oh, man, on the spot. That's really unfair. Well, Aaron Beasley, he's a staple. Nobody would forget him.
Yep. Be an idiot not to put him in there.
Right. This is in no particular order, but Beasley, Jalen Wright. I think Tyler Barron has probably been a top 5 guy. Pierce, I don't know how many snaps he's played this season, but he just got Defensive Lineman of the Week. He has 5 sacks, which is second in the conference, I think, right now. So I'd put him on the list, and I'm probably forgetting somebody obvious. I thought of Brew as a top 5 player on the team. He's no longer with the team. So did you count him in the conversation?
I did not.
Okay. So help me out with the 5th player that I'm missing. Amari Thomas or Omar Norman Lott would probably be where I start the conversation.
My number 1 player was Squirrel White.
Oh, squirrel. Okay. Well, after this past Saturday, I can see that for sure. I don't know. Part of I thought of Brew as the number one guy wide receiver. I also have thought that everybody needs to step up. Squirrel did that this past Saturday.
Yeah.
So I haven't thought for the season probably top 5 guy on the team, but he was on Saturday in Tennessee's most impressive win of the season. So that makes a lot of sense.
I guess a lot of that would be most productive as well because, I mean, they utilize him, especially with the lateral passing game.
He had to play the game,
Yeah.
besides Haddon's pick 6. But in terms of difficulty, you're talking about his deep catch, and then he was 9 for 9 in targets. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, my top 5 in reverse order, and I cheated on number 5 because I make the rules. Jabari Small / Dylan Sampson. Number 4 was Tyler Barron. Number 3 was James Pierce. Number 2 was Jalen Wright. Number 1 was Squirrel White. And no Aaron Beasley. Aaron Beasley should have been in there for sure. Probably 1 or 2, if we're being honest.
Yeah. We're thinking along the same lines. And by the way, like I didn't mention Dylan, but Dylan's potential anytime he's on the field is as good as any of his teammates.
Yeah.
And he's going to continue to play a role in the offense. So at the end of October, there's a fair chance I have him on the list. Cooper Mays is going to have a chance to be on the list because of how good he is and how important he is. You'd love to see Joe on the list, but I wouldn't consider Joe in that conversation right now. So the guys that we're talking about, I believe will still be in consideration for top 5, and there are others that have a chance to work their way in. That's why the potential is still there. The competition is also about to get tougher.
Yeah, we talked last week. Wouldn't be surprised at all if Tennessee won by 20, lost by 20, won by 3, lost by 3. But Tennessee did, win by 21 points. Won by a 3-touchdown score. Handled that football game. A lot went well in that football game. Overall thoughts on who Tennessee is now, 1-1 in SEC play, 4-1 heading into the bye.
Well, I think Tennessee is a team that has to rely on the running game and be led that way on offense and slow down the opposing team's running game and then create pressure from there. A lot of it's going to be about what happens up front, which is how football works. But I think that conversation is solidified now with Cooper returning to the field and also Gerald Mincey at right tackle. The group we saw on Saturday, I think, is likely their best 5. That could change over the next few weeks, but not much in terms of the personnel. And then on defense, what we talked about this defense potentially being, I do think is showing up in terms of the number of guys that can be effective getting to the quarterback. Pierce's arrival has played a big role in that. And then Tyler Barron, probably being a more consistent player for Rodney Garner, is showing up there too. And then I mentioned Norman Lott. I think his addition has been really good for the players they have there up front. So defensively, this can be one of the best groups in the SEC. Like we just talked about, the competition is about to get tougher. Florida and South Carolina are far from their most difficult games in the SEC. They may rank near the bottom, besides Vanderbilt, by the time we get to the end of the season. No. But what Tennessee needs to be, I think, is pretty apparent. Run the football, hope the passing game can complement that, and then be aggressive up front.
Yeah, I've been kind of saying to this point through 5 games, Joe Milton is nothing but a game manager. I think that's not an insult, but that's a very fair and accurate statement. He has the potential to change the games a couple times a contest with some deep throws and everything. He's the best looking, highest ceiling, game manager in the NCAA. But right now, that's what he is. Tennessee's a really, really good running team, and it's a work in progress on the offensive line. But you can still win a whole lot of games if you run the football well and your defense shows up. I know this in 1995, but you can still win games in this league doing that. And I think that's kind of Tennessee's blueprint through 5 games. Now, again, when you play better competition, you're about to play A&M at home, on the road, Alabama, Kentucky, you've got Georgia, Missouri on the road. Things are going to get tougher for sure. So, does that defense hold up, as you're mentioning? Can you still run the football effectively? Do things open up in the passing game and Joe kind of turns it on? We'll see. It's yet to be known. But so far, I think it's fair assessment to say Tennessee, good running team, average passing team at best, solid defense, can still win some games.
Yeah, I think that's right. How will Tennessee run the football over the next, during the month of October? And I would still say Georgia for sure, and maybe the Missouri game. That's going to determine how well Tennessee's able to do. If the running game's not there, Tennessee can find plays in the passing game, but we've seen nothing through the first 5 games to say they're going to put the ball in Joe's hands and he's just going to take them to victory against a big-time team. Well, I have nothing to point to say that that's the case. Some of these teams that Tennessee is going to play, we could see the absence of Brew McCoy because he's the physical receiver that you would trust against tougher defensive play that they're going to go up against. So, that would be on the concerning list. Cooper back and the offensive line having a chance to be much better than we saw in the first month. And I think Tennessee having 3 legitimate running backs who can do different things as well to succeed should bring the confidence back up for Tennessee's offense. But Joe's not Hendon. He was compared in some ways to Hendon just because he's the next guy to follow Hendon from last season. But Hendon had natural playmaking ability. He was special in that regard. And I just don't think Joe has that. He has an arm that can still make throws that most, quote, game managers aren't going to make. Most anybody can't make. So the potential is still there to hit a bomb, to hit a deep shot or two. But consistent big plays in the passing game just haven't been there. So why should we expect them to when they face tougher teams over the next couple of months?
Kind of out the door here, I want to ask you about something that's kind of making the rounds on X right now, formerly known as Twitter. Kamal Hadden, statistically, according to Pro Football Focus and coverage, having a really solid year. He's still going to make some bonehead plays where you're just like, not wrapping up at Florida with ETN 62-yard run. Blowing some third down coverages every now and again. And, I mean, you're not going to be perfect ever, on the field. Nobody ever is. I think fans will always remember him for the South Carolina game last year. However, against South Carolina this year, had the pick 6, 3rd and 22. It was a gift right to him. He made him pay. And it was great to see. It was great theater, good play, huge play in the football game, massive play in the football game. But since then, there's been working around Twitter the video of the pregame warmups and the starting lineups and fans booing him when he was announced as the starter. And Kamal's kind of made note of it, kind of like Rod on The Office, making note of it. Except he's not staying silent. He's kind of voicing his opinion on it. Anyway, what do you make of this whole situation? It's obviously, if you're a Tennessee coach, a Tennessee administrator, it's like this is not a good look, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. This is a guy that plays for Tennessee. I thought some of the messages, I say messages like tweets or on our radio show, we have a text box. And by the way, those are private. Those aren't public. So when they would come in, I didn't read them on the air, but we had a number of texts that would come in, say, Haddon should never play again. Bench Haddon. We wouldn't be talking about it. It's like, they're not going to play Haddon, are they? And the answer was yes, they're going to play him and he's going to start. He started against UTSA. He was going to start against South Carolina. And it reminds me of conversations we've had in the past. Jarrett Guarantano would be as good of an example as you're going to find. Mm-hmm. While some of the play might have been frustrating, it remained true that Tennessee was relying on Jarrett Guarantano at quarterback. So what's the point in booing? What's the point in publicly saying don't play him again? If you know that he's going to play and you know that you need him to play well, shouldn't you just prefer him to play better or more consistent, depending on which player we're talking about? So it's all unfortunate. I'll also add that in college football, what is a special part of the sport? It's the emotion. It's the passion that fans carry. And there is no greater example of a passionate fan base than Tennessee. If we are going to talk about the emotion and the passion that comes with it, well, emotion has a number of different angles, and sometimes that's going to be negative. So again, I'll call that unfortunate. I just also think it's unavoidable. There was a tweet from Rod Clark, assistant basketball coach for Tennessee, and I think everything that he said is spot on. And by the way, I think most fans do act and believe the same thing that Rod Clark said, and that, hey, we need to support our guys even if we're frustrated how they play. But going on social media or certainly being in the stands and booing the player when he's being introduced as a starter for your team in a big game is, I don't think, doing anything positive. Now, maybe Kamal hears that and says, okay, I'm going to go show these fans. And that's for sure not how you want it to play out. I remember the 2014 Sweet 16 run for Tennessee basketball. They said they were kind of galvanized by their fans appearing to be against them. So it comes with the territory, but it's never a good look. Surely we agree on that when a player on a team is talking about his fans being against him.
Josh, it's the bye week, but no days off on Josh and Swain. What do you guys got coming up the rest of the show, plus on the newsletter Friday morning?
Yeah, Josh and Swain newsletter is free. Appreciate anybody that goes by there and subscribes. Thanks for your support and telling people about that newsletter every Friday, once a week. And then on the show, a lot of it's looking ahead to the rest of the season. What happens in October will tell us a lot about what's going to happen for Tennessee's season coming up. So big opportunity, good time to get some guys healthy and get ready for Texas A&M. Massive game a week from Saturday. Thank goodness 3:30 kick. Love the 3:30 kick as opposed to the night game, by the way.
Josh Warber was over there like just chugging the coffee the other night in the press box. I was like, Josh, man, save some for me. But it just, mouth to the thing, just chugging.
Was it
right?
inappropriate when I treated it like a water fountain and I just stuck my head under it? Yeah,
a little bit.
But, it's about efficiency. Josh Heupel loves to be efficient on offense. Same with my caffeine consumption.
Josh Ward, you can check out that newsletter. The link is in the show description here on YouTube and on your listening device. Josh, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
All right, and that's going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols, your Wednesday show. Appreciate you guys for joining us, making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day. Subscribing to Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. You everydayers couldn't do it without you. Tomorrow, we'll be back fast and furious. Boogie Bentley of the Talking Vols Network will join me for a couple segments. That's what you have to look forward to here on a Thursday, Locked On Vols. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody.